Thanks, Mike. In government, the planning board met at the Senior Center Monday evening. The first applicant, H&L Nails, appeared before the board to request adjustments to the current signage. The board reviewed the request and it was approved. The next applicant, based out of Prospect Street, requested to continue the public hearing until July 11th and it was approved. Next, representation from Norwood Hospital appeared before the board to discuss project details. The board voted to continue the discussion on June 6th so that board members have enough time to review the application completely before moving forward. The last public hearing welcomed residents on Dean Street concerned about water drainage. The group listened to concerns and questions from residents and voted to continue the discussion to the next meeting. The board meets again on June 6th. The Historical Commission met on Tuesday morning at the George H. Morse House. The board opened the meeting recapping their 150th open house celebration held on the weekend of April 30th. There were visitors from Norwood, but also surrounding towns. Everyone was able to walk around the Morse House and learn about the history. With the new middle school passing, AI3 sent a letter of support.
I certainly think the letter, and you're a great writer, can include that we have followed the project, we understand its necessity, and we are pleased with the project. I think it's totally appropriate, though, that we do say that we are in a butter to this property,
right,
and that this is a house that's listed on Macris, and that as the project ensues, that if there's anything where they have to notify abutters, that we're in a butter, and that the Norwood Historical Commission should be involved in the process. So some of the topics you just mentioned, I'd like the town to make sure the house here, the Morse House, has some really good pest management control going on. If this isn't quite, fully occupied at the time, I don't know what the future rehabilitative use is going to be. But I agree with you that little critters, when they get, moved, yes, displaced.
Their little homes.
Also, should there be, the heavy machinery, I have no doubt that the house is secure. It survived that school being built, I'm sure it will survive, But, if there's a lot of earth shaking going on, we need to take things off the walls and here, the picture frames, things like that. So there are preparations we would make, and I don't think that's Mass Historical Commission's problem, but I do think it's pertinent that we're abutters. We have no objection to the project, but to be aware that there is a historical property right next door.
The commission will also be sending out applications to homeowners for historical house signs in the coming weeks. The Historical Commission will meet next month. The Board of Selectmen held a show cause hearing with representatives of the Workman's Hall located on Wilson Street. The hearing was set to consider whether the all-alcoholic beverages license should be suspended, limited, or revoked following several alleged incidents that had occurred at the establishment over the past year. Town Council David DeLuca presented exhibits where Norwood Police had become involved and are conducting investigations.
Thank you. I have provided to you a packet of information that comes from the Norwood Police and their investigation of this premises and this license over the course of the last couple of years. And our intention is to provide oral testimony of Detective Green, who's been the principal investigator in this matter. He'll summarize each of these reports. The case is before you on two distinct matters. One, that is the service of alcohol to non-members of an establishment that has a club license, and service to members only or guests of members. And the second is regarding a regulation which has been provided to you. That regulation requires that any licensed premises be free from any disturbance or disorderly conduct or illegality on the premises. And you'll find from these reports that unfortunately this premises has a history of disorder, disturbance, and illegalities being present on the premises.
Selectman Plasko reiterated that Workman's Hall is a club establishment that needs to have member identification and a logbook for guests of members.
You made a statement a moment ago that you don't really have any problems with your members, it's all with the non-members. And that's exactly why we're here tonight. The fact that there are non-members in the club.
Exactly.
and that you have been allowing, and I don't necessarily point to you personally, but the club has been allowing this to go on for years. There's been all these incidents, each time been spoken to, each time they've been told, we'll get a book, we'll make sure the members sign in, and it's still not happening. Even after the last incident, an undercover officer was sent in and was still served and not asked whether he was a member or if he was a guest. So it continues to go on. You have a sign out in front on Wilson Street that says tavern. You're not a tavern, you're a club. We haven't issued a tavern in the town's history as far as I know, as long as I've been around. And you also advertise billiards. Why would you need to advertise billiards if it's simply for club members? I think the problem is, and I'll stand corrected, but my impression is the problem is that you're running a billiard parlor, you're allowing non-members in. I think from these reports, sounds like your employees have done the best they can once an incident occurs. The problem is the incident is occurring because non-members are present and they're not supposed to be. I'm looking for some punishment because I think of the seriousness of this. I'm looking for you to agree that the sign out front will be covered so that it doesn't say tavern or billiards, so that you're not inviting people just traveling by, because that's what a tavern is. What people are traveling to come and stop for rest and refreshment. And the billiards, again, your club members know whether you have billiard tables or not. They know whether they want to come and play at the club. That doesn't need to be advertised. And you have to do what is required of a club. You have to have membership. You have to have some way, as Mr. Donnelly was asking, of pointing out a membership card, some way of proving their membership. And the bartenders on duty have to be, management who's ever there, has to be adhering to those rules, including a sign-in book for any guests that might be allowed. I know one club I belong to, you're even limited to how many guests you can bring in the course of a year.
After some discussion amongst the board, a decision on punishment had been made.
I will make a motion for a 2-day closure or suspension of licensure with another 2 days held in abeyance pending the submission of a corrective action plan from the Workman's Hall Management Group addressing the concerns outlined in tonight's hearing.
And in particular, that would be the signage out front, the membership identification, the guest book, and training of the bartenders and other employees as to what your rules for participation in the club are. Does that sum it up?
Yes.
And just to interrupt again, I think we need to be a little more specific. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but could we say the Friday and Saturday, 3 weeks up, following 3 weeks from today?
Close to the 4th of July, is it?
I don't know what it is, I don't have a calendar. And the following Saturday, Friday and Saturday, of which those two would be held in abeyance, provided the club meets the other requirements within a 30-day period?
I think that's reasonable.
30-day period.
I will second.
Okay, anything further on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 4-1.
The board meets again next week. The Airport Commission met Wednesday evening at the airport. Airport manager Russ McGuire is retiring this year following a long tenure with the local airport. The group discussed details regarding the vacancy and working with the town to draft the upcoming job posting. The board also discussed contract updates with Ray Contracting and submitted 2 FAA payment requests. The board meets again in June. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government Channel or watch on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for a Veterans Day tribute and a showcase of some local yard art.